Konnichiwa minaboku wa Jeremy desu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. And it is once again early in the morning on Saturday, June 6, 2015. And we just watched episode / act 23, Covert Maneuvers, Wise Man. Still in the Sailor Venus book of the new manga chapter stuff. And so today, of course, the plot furthered. It thickened even more, as it seems to do lately, as we approach the end of Sailor Moon Crystal, pretty much. So let's dive into it. The action picks up, of course, where it left off before. Sailor Moon and the Senshi appear back at the time door, and they're standing there talking to Pluto and also King Endymion. Pluto kind of explains what's going on, how Tuxedo Kitten went off to find Chibiusa, and that they went off into the abyss. Sailor Moon's like, okay, well, I've come back for him. I'm going to go after him. And Pluto's like, no, you don't. No, you aren't. And the Senshi are like, we'll protect her. It's what we do. So Pluto's like, alright, whatever, let's go. So they start walking through this big storm and stuff. Now, in the manga, as they're walking, it's Jupiter that, at least that's how it's portrayed, is that it's Jupiter that says the whole thing of why Tuxedo Kitten would have gone after Chibiusa. Because she's their daughter and she's really precious to him and blah blah blah. But in the anime version, this time they had Sailor Moon be the one that pointed out that realization that that's what's going on. So a little bit of a change there, kind of interesting that they did it that way, I guess. But yeah, and then of course Luna P appears and Sailor Moon collapses, seemingly from having used too much energy. And then the action changes and goes over to Nemesis, of course, where Prince Demand and Saphir have been brought there by Black Lady. So we got our first real big glimpse of Black Lady, and the boys are talking with her, and she takes Saphir's hand and just kind of leads him and Prince Demand over to the even more inner workings of Nemesis. And they confront Wise Man, who introduces Black Lady as Rabbit. Excuse me, sorry, I have indigestion for whatever reason. And so they're all like, what the hell? And so they're standing there talking about all this stuff and how Wise Man is the will to follow. And then Prince Demand questions that will, of course, and Wise Man goes to attack them. And Prince Demand is able to just kind of push it away because he's expecting the attack, but Saphir gets stuck in it, and then when Demand turns around and sees this, he gets attacked from it from behind, and basically it's like this dark kind of will-controlling power type thing. And I guess they all have really, really weak wills if they're able to be controlled like that, and then we find out, of course, that Tuxedo Kitten his will is being controlled as well. There was something I was going to say along those lines. Oh yeah, just the fact that I guess Prince Demand is really, really powerful to be able to stand up to Wise Man in that case, and then Saphir is not. That's so different from the musical, where Saphir ended up being the one pulling all the strings, and how he made the droid of his own brother and stuff. Very different and very interesting. Nice little deviation from the original plot. So of course we know Sailor Moon Crystal sticks pretty close to the plot, so but we find out way more about Black Lady in this series than we had in the original series. She was kind of there as an ancillary character of sorts, but not really. Like I don't know, it's hard to put it to words exactly what it is, but she's got more depth in this. And she doesn't care if the Earth gets destroyed at all. I mean, Saphir even brings that up, and him and Demand are both like, can we even trust her? Like, how do you know that she's not going to screw us over? Which is funny, because it seems to be a running thing here. Not as bad as it was in the original series amongst the Black Moon family, but it is still kind of prevalent there. Just because you have the Black Moon insignia, of course, there is a very, very big lack of trust there. So any trust is all from mind control, essentially. Rubeus and Saphir and Demand kind of all, you know, they gel. It seems like the boys got along. Esmeralda was kind of one of the odd ones out. The sisters, of course, were kind of the odd ones out too. So, but there was always fighting amongst the sisters too. So it's just really weird. I mean, there's that kind of mind control-y type thing, and that's going on a lot. And I was really happy to see. At first, I didn't think they were going to show it. And it's one thing that I've personally always thought was just kind of an ick factor, really, really weird, was the point where Black Lady is going on about how she has everything she wants, and then she kisses, essentially, who will be her father, Tuxedo Command, later on in the future. And the way they portray it in the episode is that he has no feeling towards it at all. He's basically just a puppet. There's no lovey feelings, nothing like that. It is just basically her just kissing an empty shell of the man that he used to be. And that rings, it's just so weird. It draws a parallel to those times early on when people were going on about the ick factor between whenever Mamoru would, or Tuxedo Command would kiss Sailor Moon, kind of without consent and all that stuff. It's weird. It's almost like karma, in a way, but not. Like, it's screwed up. There's a lot of screwed up things when you really think about it. Oedipus complexes and a bunch of other weird stuff that goes on. Anyway. So, Demand and Saphir have pledged their allegiance. They now have the new earrings to show it. Saphir never had earrings before, so probably hurt like hell to suddenly have his ears pierced, but whatever, he's under mind control. It's not like he really cares. And so now him and Demand have freer access to get around. So it's hard to say that they're really fully under the control of Wise Man. Like, they are, but they aren't. It's probably going to come back and bite them in the asses. I mean, we already know what the story goes from there. But Black Lady seems to be the one that thinks that she's in control. So, Usagi wakes up after seeing a vision of Chibiusa, well, Black Lady, and Mamoru, and she's wondering what the hell's going on. And so her mother's there too, and she tells her that she had bumped her head in gymnastics class, and she went to go make tea, and then Usagi sees Luna P. She comes in. I guess the king fixed it for them, and they're in her room, so they're back in the past, or the present, I suppose, just to kind of get away from all the stuff. And they're all happy for a moment, and then Usagi looks over and sees what she thinks is Chibiusa saying, "Oh, everybody's here." She had a much older voice than I think what she normally does, and then she kind of just disappeared. And for a brief moment, I thought back to the Sailor Stars episode early on with Neharenia, and how Chibiusa disappeared shortly after Neharenia had taken most control over Mamoru. Again, another weird control thing. Lots of sadomasochists in this series. But anyway, and Chibiusa vanished, and that was one of the happiest moments I had ever experienced in the original anime series. But that's because I'm one of those weird people that doesn't like Chibiusa. I like her better in Sailor Moon Crystal, but still for that moment I was just like, oh, she's gone again. This is wonderful. I know. Anyways, so Usagi's all, you know, she's melancholy about that. She's having maternal instincts, feelings. The girls are all like, oh, you're acting all maternal, and blah, blah, blah. You should smile more, and yada, yada. And then they skip over the whole scene of Shingo coming in, like he's supposed to. See, Shingo's there, but just kind of isn't there in Crystal, I guess, to move on to the fact that later on we were going to need about, what, 6 minutes for the entire transformation sequence thing, which makes me really worried about when Sailor Moon S, if it happens, or Infinity Arc, or whatever they're going to call it, because they show the full transformations. They don't do the half ones like they used to, like in the other series. It seems like they just go for broke. Hell, let's just throw the whole thing in. Let's put filler in for 5 minutes. So when Uranus, Neptune, and hopefully Saturn gets a transformation sequence, that would be nice. But anyway, having said that, can you imagine if all 10 of them are doing their transformation sequences? Fuck, half the episode would be over and it would just be transformation sequence. So there goes the plot. Maybe that's what the point is, because in Infinity there's only 10 chapters. So maybe they're going to expand it out to 20 episodes, where in each, you know, every other episode there's a transformation sequence of all 10 of them transforming, and there you go. There's half the episode, almost an entire episode done, and then you can have plot through the rest of it. So Brilliant idea, Toei. Brilliant idea. So, King Endymion goes into the crystal chamber. He's talking to Serenity, trying to get her to wake up. And then all of a sudden, Diana appears out of nowhere and scared the fucking shit out of me. I thought it was something like from Exorcist. When they first showed her face, like just the first part of it, I was like, what the hell is that? And then I'm like, oh, it's Diana. They really screwed her over. If it wasn't bad enough that in the original English dub, they had her voiced horribly, just like they kind of did with Fiore. Or not Fiore, Fisheye. But now the art was just creepy. And then later on, when they showed her again, it looked better. And then, you know, at the end when he's like scratching her chin, of course, it looked even better. So thank God for that. But for a little while, I was like, what the hell? It's like maybe something from the new Poltergeist movie, but I don't know. So she says maybe it's just not time for it to happen, which of course foreshadows the fact that Black Lady is going to appear in the premises. And just around this time, there's distortion in the present, and that's when the transformation sequence happens, and the girls end up back in the future, and they go see Pluto, and Pluto tells them that something's wrong, and she opens the time door, and they see that another crystal has come down because Black Lady has decided that she's going to show the boys that she will get Neo Queen Serenity to wake up, and she'll get the crystal to work, and blah, 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 blah. So, she enters the castle, or the palace, which is something that only the family members should be able to do, or those that are all deemed allowed. And Sailor Moon appears, and Black Lady immediately goes to attack her, and you see the crystal encasement around Serenity light up, and boom, Black Lady is kicked out, and just kind of pushes her anger even more because of the fact that she's always felt like an outcast. And so this time, rather than be sad about it, she uses it as a more powerful thing. And she goes out there, and Endymion and Sailor Moon go out there to talk to her, and Black Lady basically says, I am the new ruler of Nemesis, and calls for Wise Man to appear, and there he is. So it's the two of them, which sets things up, of course, for Act 24, which is Attack Black Lady. Now, another thing, the art, again, was all over the place. There were some beautiful moments when, like, Black Lady was taking Demand and Saphir through the vortexy type thing. It looked like snowflakes, but not like a spacey type thing. But it looked really neat. And the way the colors were, everything blended in. It didn't look like one of those just random backgrounds with them pasted on it. It actually kind of fit in. But then you look at other little small details, like the fact that Pluto has basically no ears because they're completely dwarfed by these creepy, weird shaped garnet earrings that are so different from how they were in the original series. And then, like I said, you've got that creepy Diana face, like when you first see her talking to the king. That was just creepy as hell. That just sticks in my head. I'm like, what the hell? And just facial shots, like, especially with the guys, I don't know. Again, art is all over the place, but the plot is driving, you know, it's coming along, so it is getting better. And the series is definitely wrapping up. And now, again, as I mentioned earlier, talking a little bit about Infinity Arc, we have the musical, we have the key art for it, the poster that they put out, which looks wonderful. We've seen what Sailor Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn are going to look like in the musical. The hair is great. The wigs look fantastic on all of them. It's sad because Moon, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Venus are going to be graduating, so there will be new actresses playing them next year. But this bodes really well, again, for a continuation after Crystal. I still don't think it's going to be called Crystal. If it is, it might be something dumb like Crystal Season 2 or whatever. But I think it might just be called Infinity or something else entirely. But we should probably get a coupling of the Infinity Arc and the Dream Arc, and maybe Stars, because Stars and Infinity are really short compared to the rest of them. So who knows? I don't know, but I'm excited. There's lots of toy potential, lots of merchandising, so chances are stuff's going to happen. Check out my radio show Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. This is my 10th anniversary month, so I'm playing all oldies and stuff of things that I've played over the years. 92.5 FM, thex.ca, 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific time. I will see you guys another time. Let me know what you think about the review, and we'll see you then. Jamate Mina.